Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Buying a home during your PCS can be a real financial risk if it's not done strategically. So, today, let's talk about how to mitigate that risk and help you make a home purchase that will be a good investment for you and your family. If you are weighing the pros and cons of purchasing a home during your time stationed here at Camp Lejeune, then you are in the right place. The truth is, as an active duty service member, you have to be a lot more strategic with your home purchase than the general public. When you purchase a home, you cannot only be thinking about how much you love the home, you also have to be thinking about your exit strategy. Also want to set yourself up for an easy transition to your next duty station. So let's get into it. The first thing we want to talk about is appreciation. Appreciation refers to the value of your home rising during your time of ownership. Homes are appreciating at 4% yearly nationally, and here locally, they've appreciated at a much higher rate because people love the coast. Home buyers in the general public usually stay in their home around 7 to 10 years, and that gives them a whole lot of time to rely on that appreciation to have a profit at the time that they sell their home. Here, a shorter time period of maybe 3 years is much less reliable. So do not rely on appreciation alone as an assumption that you will have a profit when it comes time to sell. Stay within a smart budget. Do not buy a home at the tippy top of your budget. Instead, I really recommend that service members stay in a very comfortable range for their housing costs. And the reason that this is extra important for you is because you know that you are going to have to sell or have another exit strategy in just maybe 3 years from now. When that time comes, you don't want to put yourself in such a financial strain that you are struggling to afford moving costs and to afford the cost of getting settled in at a new location. If you leave flexibility in your budget, you will save yourself from so much stress when it comes time to sell your home here. Consider future buyer demand when looking at homes. This consideration is really important if you're going to be selling within just a couple years. You want to make sure that you are in an area where there is buyer demand. And you can explore this beyond just knowing that people want to live here right now, but also take into consideration areas of growth. There are a lot of areas around Camp Lejeune that are experiencing pretty significant growth right now. And I encourage service members to look at housing in those areas because that growth of the town where they're getting more restaurants, more facilities, more infrastructure, that means there's also going to be more housing demand in those areas in the future. And so it can be really helpful to look at what the future of the area is where you're buying to help you estimate the future demand for housing in that area. Building on that, you also want to take into consideration where the home is located within the specific neighborhood. Think about things like how busy the street is out in front, the proximity to neighborhood amenities, if there are amenities, the lot size, the quality of the lot. Does it have privacy and trees? Is it wide open? Is the backyard teeny tiny, or is it a pretty good size? These are things that you can't change about the property. You can change the interior, you can do updates, you can make the home better, but you can't change the location. So think about if this location will be attractive to buyers in the future. And the truth is, if it's attractive to you right now, it's probably going to be attractive to buyers in the future. Now, I also want to touch on new construction and just using a little bit of caution when purchasing a new construction home here in the area. There are so many new construction neighborhoods around Camp Lejeune. In every town surrounding Camp Lejeune, Hubert, Jacksonville, Richland, Sneads Ferry, Holly Ridge, all of these popular areas have new construction neighborhoods that you could choose to live in. And these neighborhoods offer some really good incentives. A lot of times, builders are able to offer you a lower interest rate, They can cover closing costs. They may cover some upgrades within the home and can really help a lot of military members get into an affordable home. But I also want you to consider the timeline for when this neighborhood will be completed. If you purchase a home this year in a new construction neighborhood and then you go to sell it in 3 years, if the builder is still building homes in the neighborhood in 3 years, you're going to be competing against brand new homes and all of those amazing incentives that you receive from purchasing the home, but you are going to be selling a home that's a used home. You're going to have a real hard time. So I don't want to say don't buy new construction because I don't believe that at all. I just want you to look at the long-term plan for that neighborhood and consider if you are going to have a challenge competing against the builder when you go to sell in a couple years. As you are looking at homes, I really want you to prioritize the permanent features of the home. Things like your square footage, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, location, the lot. Those are things that you are not going to change while you're living in the home. Those are permanent markers of the value of the home. Other things like the paint, the flooring, the quality of the appliances, those are things that you could change during your time in the home and really bring up the value of the home during your time in there and set yourself up for a really good situation when it comes time to sell. Next, as you're considering specific homes, think about how broad your future buyer pool will be. Think about things like an unusual floor plan or features that are maybe not appealing to the general public and are more of a very specific style. These are things that I would caution you about a little bit because when it does come time to sell, you may have a short timeline. And so you want to make sure that you have a broad pool of buyers who may be interested in your home. This is not to discourage you from purchasing a home that feels personal and special to you. It's just something that I want you to weigh in your considerations for the future. It is extra important for you to be very diligent with your home inspections when you are looking at properties. You need to consider the age of the roof, the age of the HVAC system, the water heater, all of those major systems that are a bit more expensive. The reason being, if you purchased a home today with a roof that's 15 years old, it may need replaced by the time you sell in 3 to 5 years. That's not a cheap replacement. And so you need to factor that in to your repair negotiations, to your offer price. The reality is things like roof replacement or those other systems, you're not generally going to see a dollar for dollar increase in your sale price just because you've replaced the roof. These are considered general maintenance items and they don't generally increase the price that you're able to sell the home for. So it's important for you to be extra diligent about inspecting these major items of the home so that you can prepare properly for the future. And speaking of home improvements, during your time living in the home, it's important to take into consideration whether the improvements you're doing to the home will actually increase the value of the home when it comes time to sell. On the flip side of that, if you have a very specific, very bold style, maybe you like really bright paint colors, something like that, there's nothing wrong with that. But you should just be aware that some of those things can make it more of a challenge to sell your home because it will limit the buyer pool. Now, you could always bring things back to neutral when it comes time to sell. But these are just things you want to think about as you're doing improvements to your home, whether it's most important to you that you get the money back at sale through an increase in value, or if it's more important to you that you just enjoy your time here and live in a home that really feels like you and your personality. And the very last point I want to make is have a plan B. If your home does not sell when it's time to PCS, you could always turn it into a rental property. This is personally what my husband and I have done is we've turned our previous homes here in the area into rental properties. And this is a way that we are creating a long-term investment and long-term wealth. And I think this is such a smart strategy. One thing to take into consideration if you are planning for the possibility to rent your home in the future is, what is your monthly mortgage payment going to be? And are rents going to cover that payment? Are you going to break even? Maybe you will even make a little bit each month. But that's something that you definitely want to take into consideration so that you have this backup plan just in case things don't go according to plan A. We just moved to plan B. Okay, I hope these points have been helpful for you as you're considering a purchase during your time here at Camp Lejeune. The truth is, we cannot eliminate risk 100%. We can't predict what the market will do in the future, but we can purchase in a very strategic way to set you up to have the most likely success in the future. If you want some help understanding the areas around Camp Lejeune, understanding where these areas of growth are, and helping to purchase a home that will not only serve your family now while you're stationed at Camp Lejeune, but will also make an easy transition for you to your next duty station, I would absolutely love to do that. Please reach out to me, send me a text, give me a call, and I would really love to help you and your family find home here at Camp Lejeune. All right, bye.